not that. Because his like idea was that, like Flutter is supposed to be this like true cross-platform solution, right? Flutter is for like, small tech like us. We want to write one code base and it just runs everywhere. And right now we're sort of putting like a barrier if we say that Flutter is only good for web apps, not for like content heavy apps. So I think, I think he is absolutely right. Like Flutter should be good at like content heavy apps. But that being said, Flutter is not currently good at that in some regards because the load time is long and stuff. Um,
Mm.
like what do you think about like watching, I guess like the current the latest updates from Flutter, like Flutter Forward and stuff. Like, would you
Mhm.
have are you more confident in the Flutter's future, or are you thinking about just using Flutter in the short term, maybe like a few years, and then still switching to native? Like for you, would be like switching to browser native.
Yeah.
What's your planning?
Yeah, well, that's again a great question here. I'm looking a bit in the crystal ball. I cannot be quoted as having the truth here, but I do believe there's great potential in the Flutter architecture, and I do believe that there are ways of making this work beyond just like interactive web apps and also going into content publishing, but that would require big consensus from everybody, and that's hard to make, right?
Mm,
So this is where like you have some trouble. Um, I would say for now you need to be pragmatic in the sense that okay, first you need to care for your business, right? If your business needs SEO, then yeah, do tread carefully in Flutterland, right? Because if you need SEO, then there's a lot of hassle to deal with, and maybe Flutter is definitely not your number one choice. But if you're doing interactivity, stuff that is like similar to Slack, similar to Microsoft Office, to Discord, to Miro, whiteboards, right? Anything that is collaborative stuff, right? Flutter is great for this, it's like great
mhm,
environment to do this kind of stuff. And I would say like there's no immediate rush for me to go to other solutions, but
mhm,
there are definitely some, let's say, bottlenecks around, right? I mean, I can notice that when I run the Flutter build in mobile, if I run some of the heavier pages, they kind of, struggle a bit. If it's like
mm,
mobile Chrome, right? They struggle a bit, and you need to be very aware of your performance bottlenecks, and that usually requires quite some experience to handle them
true.
properly. And that's where like Flutter has a bit of a, let's say problem. And I believe it's going to require some significant engineering effort from the like OS providers and Flutter developers to make it
Mm,
work better, right?
for sure.
And I would say, I mean, like there are ways to overcome this, but as I say, like it requires skilled labor, right? So it's not that easy to make your app that performance. Like for me, there was noticeable, um, junk in animation in certain places on mobile browser. Of course, that shouldn't be my main concern, but it's one of the concerns, right? Definitely the same kind of app I know from experience. If I did it in Angular or React in a light way, then it would be way more performant, right? In that
Mhm,
particular scenario. So there is some, let's say, catch up to do with native performance, and I'm not entirely convinced that it's even possible to match it, because there's like whenever you have like a middle layer that requires more compute, right? So it's
mhm,
gonna slow you down. But overall, I would say it's a great tool to get your business started, right? So getting your business started, survival, that's mission number one. Then let's do the fancy
Survival is
stuff, right?
key.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, like
survival
that's
is
key,
key.
right? My first startup died, so it left me with the depression and then with the realization, okay, I need to concern myself with
I'm
survival
sorry.
and then other stuff, right? So
Survival is
yeah,
key. Yes, yes.
Mm.
yeah,
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. Like we can forget about like technical details, but the the main thing is just to keep working on your business, and like if your business survives, then like you can do future improvements to make it better. But if it dies, it dies.
absolutely. And if it dies, at least you learn something. So we
True,
should stay
yes.
positive, right? I mean,
Mhm.
like I think it's worth noting, this is something that I can use the occasion to just say like, hey, don't just read the news about successful startups, because that's like easy to sell, but behind every one successful startup probably there's like 100 or 1,000 unsuccessful ones, right? We don't learn these stories, and then we are somewhat ill prepared for failure to deal with it and accept it in our lives, right? Because we are so pressured to learn to do the successful thing and get it done fast and so on, and then it puts a huge strain in your mindset to allocate the resources to keep doing the stuff that is requiring so much energy, right? So yeah, just like we need to be tough and have the grit to continue through all of this. I know it's sometimes overwhelming to learn all this stuff about Flutter, but I think it gives us a lot of benefits. So I think it's
For sure.
worthwhile our effort and time.
For
Right.
sure.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Like